Today, I want to share something that's pretty powerful in my life. So, a long time, the man that I'm looking at on the left hand side, really, that was me. And if I do my math correctly, I want to say about 2011. Wasn't a dad yet. I had been out of the Marine Corps for about 4 years. And it was really that journey of figuring out who I was. Because in the context of who I was, I didn't really understand a lot. That man is me. The same person that you're looking at over here is the guy on the left-hand side. And it's that same context that I want to share why I do it. Because this man here didn't know what he needed to know. This man had this idea about how life was supposed to work. He had this idea about where life could go, but it wasn't the right one. This man believed that the worth and the pursuit of what he was looking for was on the outside. That what I was going after at school and anything else that I was going after wasn't the right thing. So I'm here to tell you, I do what I do. I talk about fatherhood because this man that wasn't a dad yet didn't know how to lead himself. Because as a father, your ability to lead your kids, your family, in whatever direction you want them to go towards, that direction is one that you're going to do yourself. Now, I don't say that in the context of, I want you to do this alone. I'm saying quite the opposite. I'm saying that leadership, which is something that I've learned much later in life, much later. This guy had maybe ideas of it, but he didn't really know. Give me 1 second. I want to check something. That man that I was showing on my screen, what he didn't know was how you lead yourself is how you lead your life. Fast forward a few years from now, and that man had to look into his 2-year-old daughter's eyes and say, how can I lead you into your life if I can't even lead myself through mine? What hope do I have to help you become a better person if I can't become a better person myself? That person that I was every day wasn't someone that was heading anywhere. If you followed me or listened to anything or heard me on any podcasts, a popular story of mine is when I turned 30, this real kind of dark moment came into my life. It was this dark moment of, I think there's a chance that my life is going to have no significance. That when I reach the end of my life, I don't think anybody's going to care that I was here. Drop in the chat if you've ever had that thought. Have you ever wondered or worried, is anybody going to care that I was here? Is that even something that people worry about? That thought is a pretty dark one. And I often describe it as like, it's like the alien attack ship coming out of the clouds in Independence Day, settling over the city. And you're like, how do you move that attack ship? It's like this monument thing. Like, you're one person. How do you move this thing that is the next 40 years of your life, of hopefully one that you can create some significance to do something? For me, the story of why I do it, why this journey of fatherhood is so important, and why I talk about fatherhood until I'm blue in the face, is because this journey of learning how to lead yourself is the most important journey that a man will ever go on. Your ability to lead yourself in the direction that you want to go is going to dictate how far, where you can go, and what you can do. That's what that man that I shared in the picture didn't have. He had this, what I call a 3-lane road American dream that was assigned to him when he got out of the Marine Corps. That life works this particular way on the outside. You follow these paths that are in front of you, and you get to where everybody else gets to in life. They get to the American dream. But that was the opposite. For me, after 10 years of going to school for electrical engineering, my American dream ended up being the American hell. And it was that hell that I had to ask better questions. One question was, what's a result in my life I've never had? What can I do to get that? And what am I not doing to make that result happen? And for me, that was a simple question, but it was a powerful one. And it was the virus that took down the alien attack ship, because it was an answer of friends. I was isolated. I didn't have any meaningful connections in the world. That was pretty much it. And it was that isolated. I was like, why don't I have any friends? I have everything else that everybody else has. What am I missing from my life that I'm not doing? And it was pretty clear pretty quickly. I was like, well, I'm not talking to anybody. Well, why don't I talk to anybody? Okay, well, what if it was that high school girl that said no, and you just assumed that rejected feeling really was a feeling like we should just avoid that altogether? Avoid it altogether. I do what I do because I know there are more men just like me in that picture. I know that there are more men and that I'm not the only one that's going through this. That for me, this process of what we're doing, this process that is changing everything, this man didn't have a direction. There's a particular thing, if you've been following my conversations and what I do and how I do it, this man didn't know what a vision really looked like. Now, I say all that not to make myself feel bad, not to make myself look a certain way. I say that because this man didn't know where he was going. That man did not know where he was going, who he was, what he could do when he got there. And again, why I do this? Why do I give so much towards this idea of fatherhood? Because fatherhood, to me, is this idea that can shape us. It can lead us. Our kids are the mirrors to the things that we suck at. If you want to figure out where you need to improve on, look at what you struggle with your kids. That right there is your best compass you can have to begin what you need to work on. I do what I do because there are men just like me out there that are stuck, that are going on this path just like me. And what I had to learn the hard way, as I said, learning to lead myself, getting connected to myself. Hey, Paul, love to see you on here. Thanks for dropping by. The idea of who I am was not something that came from the outside world. I do this because in order to create a great foundation in fatherhood, you first have to have a great foundation inside. The man that I shared in that picture did not have that. It was an outside world. I would describe my personality often as that, I really don't know who I am. So I'm just going to try to fit into every situation that I'm at. And I'm just going to adapt like a chameleon to the people around me. Who do they need me to be? What would make me be accepted? How could I be friends with them? But the dangerous part of all that, every time you adapt, try to be someone else, you lose a little bit of who you are. You lose a little bit of where you can go. You lose a little bit of that sense of, at the end of the day, who am I? There's something that depending on where you follow, depending on who you follow. You might think, man, that person has it all. Their entire identity is this persona. My identity isn't attached to being a dad. My identity isn't attached to the business of fatherhood. My identity isn't attached to the podcast, Military Veteran Dad. If those things closed tomorrow, I would still be who I am today. I do what I do because it's not about identity. It's not about outside worth. It's not about outside influence. It's about understanding the influence on the inside. I called my program when I first created it, It's Time to Come Home. That was born out of a mission to bring every military dad home. What I learned through that process and still continue to learn is that every dad struggles to come home. Not come home to the building the mortgage or this status or salary that we're told to go off and chase. Come home to who you are on the inside. Because when you know and you have a core foundation of who you are on the inside, you can begin to create momentum towards whatever you want. Like I said, my identity is not attached to this. I know who I am, I know my value, and I know what I could go do, and I could go put my energy towards anything and apply success to it. I'm not attached to what I'm doing. Someone recently asked me what it is that I do, and I came up with an interesting analogy. Is I essentially teach dads of how when crap hits your face, you're like, really, life? Is that all you got? That I don't get my meaning from the outside world. The man that I shared in that picture, he got his value from the outside world. Every day it was empty. Every day was like, God, this loop has to end. Every day, the hollowness on the inside was growing deeper and deeper. And going to that dark spot of like, what's the point of even living if I'm not going to have anybody show up and care that I was here? Where's the significance in that? Life is supposed to be significant. Life is supposed to be this rich, rich place of where we go and what we can do. No one tells you that. No one tells you that what you have on the inside is where your real value comes from. We're always worried on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, all of these different places. We're worried about who people see us on the outside is. I am more focused when I talk to a dad, who's on the inside? Who is that dad like me that can't see his own potential? That can't see the man capable of having a deep connection and relationship with his kids? A man that's capable of leading himself through the harshest of storms. A man capable of reinventing himself and figuring out what the hell this thing called being a stay-at-home dad was. What does that look like? The journey, everything that is I do, I know that there is a man just like me that feels hollow on the inside, that wonders that's got to be a better way. This loop, this deafening noise of this echo on the inside that is just screaming emptiness. There's got to be a richer life available to them. What I also didn't know is I was living in a box. I can't tell you how many times I talked to a dad and they can't describe their world past the four walls of how they see it currently. That their world is a fixed environment of who they are and where they are. That world is as gray and as plain and is as short-sighted as it can get. I could not see into the future. I could not see past a few days. I was just drifting through life. Drop in the comments if you have ever drifted through life, what that felt like. The man in that picture, the man that I am today, I am this man because I had to come home. I had to realize coming home to myself was the most important journey I'll ever go on. And it was that journey that let me be who I am today. I look at some of the pictures of myself from even just 5, even 2 years ago. I don't see life. I see myself now. I see life. I see confidence. And I see a man that understands where he's going. I know there's men out there just like me that don't know where they're going, that are most likely lying to themselves like I was to keep up with the Joneses next door, that I need the next iPhone and Apple Watch to prove who I am, that I need to have a house as big as the sales guy that I compete with. All of that value, all of those things that you chase every day, it's empty. I can't tell you how many times I talked to someone who climbed a ladder, either the corporate ladder or a ladder leaned up against the wrong house. And they climb all the way to the top and they realize this wasn't what it was supposed to be. My family was supposed to be here. Everything I worked for was my family. Why aren't they here? Because you got priorities backwards. When you get your priorities backwards, it doesn't always work out. But priorities first have to start with yourself. You can't give from an empty cup. And man, was I given from an empty cup. It was that journey. Why I do it. Why I talk about fatherhood until I'm blue in the face is because it's this invitation of fatherhood into our life that can move the needle of where we want to go. It can be this invitation to create a legacy that changes everything. If you guys liked this, if you liked my story, if you resonated with why I do this whole thing, be sure to check out the podcast, The Business of Fatherhood, bencloy.com/listen. And it's this podcast is where I talk about this story and many more about what could happen, where you could go in your life, and how it could essentially change everything. Because it's this journey that we're on together called life that was never meant to be done alone. If you're ready to be done doing alone, if you want to understand maybe where you're not going towards, be sure to reach out. Head over to bencloy.com without the listen on it, and there's a button there to schedule a call. I've been there. I know what you're feeling. I know the hole that you feel like you're sitting in and know how to get out. And what most men don't have is that companion that's been where we are, been where we want to go, and comes back to pick him up. Hey, Javier, I'm really glad. I love doing live with you. Javier is one of my good friends. And man, that man can give a hug like no other, but he's also got a heart the size of an ocean. So, Javier, thank you as well for joining us. Guys, this is why I do it. This is why this stuff is so important. If you're struggling, you're not alone. I was you, and I know how to get you back. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon.